it's raining. Huh. Okay, one of you requested that I show what's in my toolbox. So I was doing maintenance on the cart before the race tomorrow, and I had the tools out. I'll show you what's in my box. Okay, we'll start with the tools. So first off, you will need a socket set. Everything on my cart is metric, so I threw away all of the imperial. You don't use all of the sockets. You'll learn which ones you use more, and you can kind of see the wear on the ones I use. Usually it's 10s, 12s, 13s, 17s, the most popular. Collection of screwdrivers of different heads that you're going to need. Tape. Files, a couple of different files, like a flat edge and a square. Zip ties. Love the zip ties. Cutting apprentices. Knives and some replacement blades. You never know what you're going to have to cut. Miscellaneous pliers. So needle nose, angular needle, a little bit of heavier duty one with a snipper on the inside, and some snippers. These are mostly for the zip ties. Gotta have a ruler of some kind or a straight edge. See, here is a soft mallet and a hammer block. This is a block of Teflon. You can use wood, you can use whatever you want, but having a mallet with a hammer block is really helpful. Various different wrenches, all metric, none of them imperial, so 8, 10, all the way up to 17. I actually got a 19 here, but I don't use it very much. 17 is the biggest one I typically use. And you will need 2 of some of them. So 13s, you're going to need double. Is there any other doubles in here? No, I think that's it. 13s and 10s, I think you're going to need doubles of. And the reason why you're going to need doubles is if you do your steering column, if you ever adjust your steering column, you need one on the nut and one on the column. So you need 2 wrenches to do that. So the other thing I keep is obviously the locking tool for the flywheel, so you can do your maintenance on the cart and take the flywheel off. I like to have a few scrubbers on hand. These aren't really that useful, but I like to have them on hand. And you're going to need a whole swack, an absolute load of Allen keys. Now, whether you get the T-bar handles or just the regular keys, I would suggest both. You get one of these and one of these for every metric size. So that's like from 2 mil all the way up to whatever these big fat boys are. This guy's used on the engine, and what's he? He is a 10 mil. So lots of those. This is kind of handy. So this is an impact gun with an adapter for the socket set, and as well as some Allen key tips and just some screwdriver tips. So this really speeds up things like changing wheel nuts. And if you're doing bolts and that kind of stuff on the chassis, it helps quite a bit. And the most important tool, pen. Moving on to spares. So you can see here spares, these are spare jets and all the jetting. Little locking C-clamps, spare set of brakes, spark plugs. Got the end links for the steering, carburetor parts, suspension parts, more suspension parts. That's a spare sprocket, just in case. This is really important. It's a clamp for your bumper. I usually have 2, but I used one of them up and went flying off. Having 2 of those on hand is really important. Spare chain, spare throttle cable, both of those really important. Different kinds of Loctites. There's blue, green, and red, and you will need all 3 colors if you're going to do your own maintenance. A spare exhaust gasket for your exhaust, that helps. And I always carry a full set of gaskets just in case. These are not really required, but O-rings. And then this is the most useful, which is the bolt bin. So these little guys These little guys, well, these 8 mils, whatever they are. These, you basically consumables. You like burn these like they're candy. Having some of the bigger bolts on hand are really helpful. These guys are really important for your bumper. You want to make sure you have several of these on hand. And just a miscellaneous collection of rubbers and seat washers. And these are nice because they kind of go on the bottom of your cart and then they get chewed up. So I use those underneath the floor pan to try and help as a washer. Yeah. These little guys always they always disappear, these little guys, and these little locking wires. Those are nice to have. And that's kind of it for consumables. Onto, or sorry, not consumables, that's bolts I guess, but onto consumables. I'll show you some of the things that I bring. So in order of most to least important, your grease to do your maintenance, your chain lube, WD-40, and then usually some penetrating oil, more like oil-like than the WD-40. These are probably, if you just had to bring these, that would be probably lots. Motor oil for your fuel to mix for a 2-stroke. Invisible glass, I use this for tire changes. This is a lubricant for helping to get the tire on and off. Some people use WD-40, but I prefer to use this because it evaporates and disappears, whereas WD-40 leaves the residue there. Brake cleaner. And then from this point onwards, I'd say this is not mandatory. You don't have to bring this, but your .4 or 5.1 brake fluid, gear oil for your gear, and then water and glycol, or you can buy premix for your radiator. But like I said, these are typically more for depot level maintenance. You probably don't want to bring them to the track with you, but you can if you have space in your toolkit. And don't forget, you need lots of these, and rags. The only other spare parts is your spare sprockets and a spare air filter that you should have clean. This one's dirty, but I should clean it. Have a spare air filter ready to go. On to the last little bit here, the fancy tools. The only one of these fancy tools you're going to need on the track for sure is the tire pressure gauge. Having a nice tire pressure gauge is very helpful. So spend the money and get one of those. These are fun. They're not really required, but they're fun and people use them. These are snipes, called Sniper. That's for helping do your wheel alignment. Very useful. I'd suggest getting that as once you have the rest of your kit. This is a nice add-on. And this is just a charger for the dashboard, the Micron 5 that I have. The last thing that you might want to look at is getting the transponder. And so there you go. That's my transponder and the charge kit for that. And I don't usually bring this to the track because what I do is instead of bringing tire stuff, I just bring spare sets of tires. But the tire changing tools, so this is a tool that I use to help me change the tires on and off the rims. You can get it from www.tongs.si. And this is the double bead breaker. And this guy breaks the beads on the rims to change them both sides at once. So it's really fancy. I like this one a lot. So these are things you typically have in the garage. You don't typically bring them to the track unless you're planning on switching tires to the track. I just buy an extra set of rims and bring an extra set of tires. And if I'm in doubt, I'll bring 2 extra sets of tires and rims. So that way I never have to worry about changing tires at the track. I've done that at Chilliwack, and changing tires at the track it takes time. I'm down to about 30-40 minutes to do a tires change, but yeah, it takes practice to get even that short. That's it. So that's the kit. I use these Milwaukee modular boxes, and I think they're called pack-out kits. I've gone through about 3 or 4 different types of toolboxes, and so far this is the best one. You can get foam inserts for it, and you can do lots with it. They're a little bit more pricey. I think this whole kit is $400 or $500 for just the toolboxes, but it's if you're planning on going to the kart track over and over again, I find it very helpful. Yeah, so there. Hopefully that was helpful for you, and we'll see you at the track.